Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you are able.
Heavenly Father, we come before you with hearts full of faith, asking for your healing touch. Please bring comfort, strength, and restoration for those who are sick. Ease their pain, calm their fears, and fill them with your peace. May your love and mercy surround them, and may your healing power flow through their bodies. We also ask that you watch over our police and fire and our first responders as they work to protect and keep us all safe. We ask this in your name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone, to our regular meeting for Hamilton City Council. And we have some special presentations. First one is involves Braden Osborne and Reed Stewart. They'll come on up here to, I'll tell you what, if you got some family here, not too many of them. I see one holding the camera back there. I don't know if you want to hand it off or join up here. It's up to you. I was going to also ask Jennifer to come up here as well, but you're holding the camera as well. Okay, then about Sammy coming up here. All right. Okay. All right. I'll swing around this way. Who do you got here with you?
Great. I got Caleb back there.
Mom's right here.
Mom, okay, you got at least Mom up here. Okay. Sammy Burrows gave me a call and said, I got to tell you about a couple of guys who did something really special. And I think I had just seen something in the paper about these two guys. You know, Miami Regionals in Hamilton is a great place to get an education. But these two gentlemen got an education outside the classroom, and when they stepped up, grace under pressure, saved a man's life. So I'm going to read about it and have Sammy talk a little bit about it, and then I'm going to have these two guys talk. So, and you can introduce your family that you do have here. Also, the mayor, a proclamation. Whereas Hamilton City Council and City Administration would like to show appreciation to Braden Osborne and Reed Stewart for performing a life-saving CPR techniques on a Miami University professor who experienced a heart attack. And whereas Braden and Reed were among multiple students who came to the aid of a professor who had collapsed outside Moser Hall on the Miami Regional's Hamilton campus. And whereas Reed was notified by a Miami employee that the man was on the ground outside of Moser Hall. Reed then notified his supervisor of the situation before going outside to find the man surrounded by several students calling for help. Whereas Reed assessed the situation to find the professor was not breathing and he had no heartbeat. And whereas Reed, who was studying pre-nursing, and Braden, who was studying nursing, were uniquely prepared to aid the professor who was experiencing a heart attack. And whereas together, Braden and Reed took turns performing chest compressions on the professor. And whereas after several minutes of CPR, Reed was able to hear extremely shallow, strained breathing from the professor until City of Hamilton EMS officials arrived on the campus. Whereas according to Reed, every second his brain wasn't getting oxygen, it would decrease his chances of survival. Their life-saving actions are a testament to their training, courage, and commitment to the nursing profession. And according to Braden, the rescue was the biggest lesson to me as I see what nurses and paramedics go through. Now, therefore, I, Pat Muller, and Hamilton City Council members hereby recognize and appreciate Braden Osborne and Reed Stewart for their courageous actions in performing life-saving CPR techniques, and we wish them the best in their future endeavors. So, Sammy, you want to kind of tell us what this is about and about these two students here?
Absolutely, I'll do my best. We really summed it up, Mayor, but thank you, Council and residents, for recognizing these young men. They were brave and didn't back down at a chance to help save a life. They just reacted. It kind of just was second nature to them, and they're really a testament of just the great students we have on Miami Regionals that we get blessed to get to work, and our amazing staff. They get a chance to educate. We can't say enough about the nursing department preparing them, I believe, to get to this moment of occasion and be so heroic and rise up. So really just, it's a thank you to these young men because of them. And I know somebody's very thankful right now, living right now, that couldn't maybe not be with us. So we're very thankful for you guys for representing us so well, and that's all.
Well, it's a case of the right people and being in the right place at the right time with the right education from Miami University Regionals. So we got Jennifer here from Miami University Regionals, and I think it's time for you guys to talk and introduce who you're with. Now, you are Braden. Pat Moeller, Hamilton City Council says thank you. Use that microphone.
All right. This is my mom, Amber, right here, and then my girlfriend, Michaela, in the back. Two special ladies. They helped me through school, and I don't think if I was in nursing, I would have had the courage to step up to that plate. A lot of it, just came from wanting to help him. He looked very tired. I mean, I don't know what else someone would do in that situation, but I really enjoyed being able to help him. I think that a lot of the classes I take help me to understand, if you don't do it now, then that person might not be there that much later in life. So I'm glad to be able to help. So pass it to you.
You did more than that. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, introduce yourself and who you got.
Hi guys, I'm Reed. So I got mom and grandma next to me, and obviously, and I would just say it hit me like what we had both done. Like a month later, he ended up emailing me the faculty member that had a heart attack, and the last line of his email said, "Because of you, my family got to have Christmas with me this year." And that's when it hit me, because I spent that whole month wondering, is he gonna make it? And if he didn't make it, I would have went my whole life knowing, or no, thinking what could I have done more. So I'm just glad I could help out. It was honestly right place, right time. I was just working a part-time job, playing games on my computer in the office. I wasn't doing anything, and I saw someone sprint in, and I went out to help. So right place, right time, and thank you so much for having us and acknowledging the story.
Thank you. Take this. Shake your hand. All right. Where do they go to school at, Sammy?
Miami University Regional,
Where's that located, Sammy?
1601 University Boulevard.
What city?
Hamilton.
Okay. So we got two heroes here going to school in Hamilton, Ohio, learning nursing at Miami University Regional Campus. That's a great story. Thank you so much, guys. And thanks for bringing your family with you. How about a round of applause for these heroes here? Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you did. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being supportive. Thank you. Sammy, thank you for. You get a picture? Oh, yeah. There's got to be a good picture. Yeah. Oh, you don't want to be in that picture?
Come on, Mary, you gotta get in it.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, this is also going to be exciting. Street Spark 2025 mural update. Jennifer, come on up here and introduce yourself, and look forward to hearing about what we got going this year.
Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Jen Akes-Smith, and I am the program manager for the Street Spark Mural Program. And I am here tonight to show you the next design that we have selected for our 2025 mural. But before I do that, I wanted to just give a little bit of some highlights of what we've been doing over the last 10 years. And we're almost at 10 years. We're at about 2026 will be 10 years for us. But I wanted to give some highlights. We started this effort nearly 10 years ago at a City of Hamilton committee. And it was called the Art Strategy Team. And we, as a group, decided that we wanted to focus on public art as a really visible way to kind of improve the arts identity here. Our goals were to employ artists, to beautify the city, to really attract more residents and visitors. We have employed many professional artists and designers, hopefully, encouraging them to stay here, live, work, and play here. We have also employed a lot of emerging and student artists. It's sometimes difficult to learn how to create murals when you haven't had that hands-on experience, so it's important to us to hire students and people newer to that trade to help them learn. We started out with a focus really on High and Main Street, of course, for the visibility. But in the past few years, we've really moved to being in neighborhoods more. And at this point, we have public art in 10 of the 17 neighborhoods in Hamilton. And so we're hoping to kind of hit all of those if we can. We've also worked with several nonprofit organizations to kind of amplify their mission. We have, for example, we worked with the Boys and Girls Club. We painted a long fence mural in a park right next door to them, and just kind of providing another really welcoming space to, encourage youth to be there and encourage the work that they're doing every day there. We have also partnered with a lot of businesses and organizations. Some of them have put their dollars into the projects and kind of made our grant dollars go further with that. And many of them have gone on to, maybe they're repairing or cleaning or priming their building in preparation for this mural. And then after the mural is done, they're doing even more to improve their space. We have also painted 17 utility boxes in the city. And I think this was a really neat partnership. We worked with the traffic department, and they had a lot of the older boxes. They were dark black boxes, and they were overheating often. And so they asked us to paint a lot of these with lighter colors. So it's just kind of neat to see a practical problem being solved, but also bringing, artistic beautification to the area. But one of the most rewarding aspects, I think, that I've seen over the last 10 years is that StreetSpark is not just a singular organization. It truly takes a community effort to make these murals happen. There's so many businesses, organizations, individuals, departments that go into doing this. So I just want to thank the City of Hamilton for their partnership, the Hamilton Community Foundation, all those businesses that are, investing in our city. And I hope that we can continue the relationship and just keep making creative magic in Hamilton. So with that said, I want to show you, this is our wall for 2025. It's going to be located at Living Waters Ministry, and that is in the Jefferson neighborhood. It's located at 510 8th Street, South 8th Street. And the Living Waters Ministry, they offer year-round academic and enrichment programs for youth in grades K through 12 and adult services and education programs. Free meals are available and all programs are in English and Spanish. And the Jefferson neighborhood is one of our most ethnically diverse neighborhood, home to many small, bustling, family-owned businesses. So this is our wall. This wall is about 25 feet high and 75 feet wide, so it's a big one. And this is the design that we've chosen for the wall. We have a selection committee that votes on these designs. So our artists put in their qualifications, and then we pay the artist to develop designs. And this is our winning design. This is created by artist Ana Ganina, and this is her description. The title is Viva el Sueño. My mural, Viva el Sueño, celebrates the Hispanic heritage and potential of the Jefferson neighborhood. At its center, a young girl's face symbolizes the community's soul and future. Her hopeful, determined expression reflects the aspirations of local youth. Her headband and the background, adorned with Mexican Talavera patterns, honor Hispanic cultural roots. Surrounding elements, flourishing florals, and a soaring bluebird represent growth, resilience, and the freedom to dream, reinforcing the community's strength. The warm golden backdrop radiates energy and optimism, fostering pride and belonging. Designed to resonate with Hamilton Living Water Ministry youth and the broader neighborhood, Viva El Sueño reminds children that they are the future, empowered to embrace their dreams and pursue limitless opportunities.
That's gorgeous.
Hope you all like it.
Appropriate for that building, and that's great.
This is, when talking to the building owner, this is just what they were hoping for, something hopeful, something colorful, to bring some life to that area. So they're really, really pleased with what's chosen. If there aren't any other questions, that's all I have for you.
Mr. Mayor,
Please.
your selection committee really hits it out of the park every single time that they put one. There is not one mural that I don't like. I couldn't pick a favorite.
Thank you.
So thank you. I mean, you should be very proud of yourself.
Thanks. We're really happy too.
I want to say that not only do we love it as citizens when we look at these buildings and these murals, but our visitors to town have got to, and I've heard them say, wow. I mean, it does bring out the character of Hamlin, each mural in its own way. I think she deserves a round of applause for what she's been doing with the streets.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Another man who deserves applause, Alan Messer. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mayor, members of council. Those were two tough acts to follow here. So I want to give you just a brief update tonight on some of the projects that you'll see coming this year from engineering. This focuses on the transportation-related projects. You've seen these before, so I'll just quickly go through them, but we got to start off everything with paving. That's one of our top priorities that we've heard from the citizens, and so this is the list. This list was bid last October and is currently under construction. You can see largely east side projects. This is currently out to bid, and we broke this year's paving's fairly robust. We broke it into two projects so that we didn't have to wait until all the assessment was done to go ahead and get started on construction of approximately half of it. And here again, largely east side. We have some up around Rutledge and there in the west side. It's a really big project this year, and one that everyone will be relieved when it's finally over, and that's the Millville paving. This is the ODOT urban paving program. And this overall project, water main replacement, gas and water services, concrete work, and the paving, top $6 million. So I appreciate everyone's patience with the shouldn't be any more closures, but there will be continued work as they finish up the concrete work here in the next couple weeks and finish up the switching over some gas and water services. The actual paving will start once school lets out this summer and should wrap up within the summer. Up there with paving is safety, and this is one of our top safety projects that's moving forward this year. You recall there was a lot of concern about speeding on Ross Avenue. We were able to secure an ODOT grant to tackle that problem. And the solution, as I've said before, is something that makes it feel uncomfortable to drive fast. You can do a certain amount with enforcement, but that only lasts as long as you continue the enforcement. This is a permanent solution that was funded 90% by the state. It's bump outs at each and every intersection from Urban down to C Street. It's a little difficult to see there on the right, but the blue is what you'll be looking at. The bump outs slow down traffic, and they make a shorter distance for the pedestrian that's crossing the street to make that safer. This project will start this year, as will the Hamilton Beltline, the Phase 4. This one's 100% grant funded, at least Phase 4 is. And Phase 4 will be from Eaton Avenue with a bridge over 2 Mile Creek near Gina's, over to Main Street. And then we had enough grant funding to do a small trailhead just north of Butler County Lumber on Main Street. This is a project that we're doing in-house with traffic operations, is going to do a road diet on Northwest Washington. This is one I wanted you to see before we rolled it out there this summer. A road diet, if you remember, University Boulevard, we did a road diet, took 4 lanes down to 3. In that case, we put bike lanes on each side. Eaton Avenue, we did a road diet near Flubbs, took 4 lanes to 3, essentially taking 4 to 3 and making one a right turn lane. We're looking to do the same thing between Cleveland Avenue and Northwest Washington, where the roundabouts are proposed. And so this is kind of what it looks like. The inside eastbound lane will turn into a 2-way left. Now, this will make it a lot easier for people getting in and out of all the side streets. Here's Alexander and here's Codswald and Autumn Walk. We've heard how difficult it is to make lefts in and out of those areas. This will make that much, much easier, much safer. And then the outside westbound lane will become essentially a right turn lane. You can see it here at Cleveland, and again, it will be the same situation here and then at the freshman school. This is a project's not happening this year. It actually will go to bid next year and be constructed largely in 2027. But because there is a public meeting coming up April 24th, I wanted to mention that and see if there were any questions on it. This is the first phase of construction of North Hamlin Crossing, roundabouts replacing each of the intersections there, Northwest Washington, West Elkton, North B Street. We're having the meeting at the freshman school. This project, and I'm really excited about a connection associated with this project down to where the sidewalk ends further south on B Street. So you'll be able to get all the way to the freshman school from Prospect Hill. These 2 intersections and that connection were like the 2 top projects when the 17 Strong Youth Group was asked what they think we should do in town from a transportation perspective. So Principal Smallwood is going to invite them to the public meeting so that they can see that their voice was heard and see progress in action. This is one that I wanted to make you aware of, and I'll be coming back at some point proposing a grant application for this. This is the southern roundabouts. If you look here on the left, the light blue is what we call the northern option for North Hamlin Crossing, for a river crossing. The red, I guess you'll call it, is the southern option. Each of those had 2 roundabouts associated with them. As we got into the design of the one down at Ray and Gordon, the roundabout at Ray was extremely costly and difficult because of the utilities in the area. And if you notice the hump on B Street as you're going towards 2 Mile Creek, that's actually part of the levee system. So we can't cut that down. If you try to match grade to bring it up, essentially that roundabout was probably adding $1 million, $1.5 million to the project. And it made it very difficult if you're coming off the belt line to try to get down to Spooky Nook. So we looked at an option of making it right in, right out to Gordon Avenue. We will have public meetings to discuss this further. If I was somebody that lived on Gordon Avenue, I'd actually embrace this because it will take a lot of that through traffic away from them. But it will mean that they'll have to go up and around Hunter in order to get in here if they're trying to come left as they're going north, or likewise if they want to go out and turn left and go up towards the freshman school. That was a lot that I threw at you in a very short period of time. I was asked to be brief, so I will open it up to any questions that you might have about these or any other projects that we have going.
Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Lauer. Mr. Messer, do you have a date on those meetings yet as to when they are? I believe I seen one today, that's why I asked.
Yes, so the meeting for the roundabouts up at Northwest Washington is April 24th, 6 to 8 at the freshman school. Hold the date for a meeting on North Hamilton Crossing. We expect to be able to announce what the recommended route will be May 29th. That will be held in the evening at the fairground. We're still buttoning up a couple of the studies and some of the federal agencies to be able to make that announcement at that time, but we're hoping to have the go-ahead and to put bill stuffers in so that we can get a robust crowd there to see. It's not the final decision, but it's what's going to be recommended, and then it would take like another year, unfortunately, to get the blessing of that final decision, but at least people along all those routes will have some idea of whether they are or aren't within the project. And I'll send out a save the date meeting invite to all of you as well as these slides, because I realize I went through them very quickly.
You can go quick when you have pictures, so that's good.
Any questions, comments? Thank you for all that information, Alan.
All right, thank you.
Okay, that takes care of our special presentations. We do have someone who I believed signed a public hearing book, but he wants to talk about the mask soccer tournament. And these two gentlemen, I think, spoke with us last year about ways of making sure that traffic is calm. And big tournament, a lot of family, a lot of players, a lot of cars. And you folks did a good job last year, and I think you're just going to give us a report about how we're going to do it this year.
You are correct,
Would you
Mayor.
introduce
Thank
yourself,
you.
please?
I am John Harmon. I'm with the Fairfield Optimist Club, and more importantly, I'm a member of the executive committee of the Mid-American Soccer Classic. With me is Brandon Ramey, who is the co-director of the tournament, and Larry Jarvis, who is also on the executive committee. The tournament is coming up very briefly. We will be April 4th, 5th, and 6th, so basically in about 10 days. We're going to fill the neighborhood with a lot of cars, a lot of people trying to park, different things like that. So in essence, this year we're going to have about 390 teams in 62 divisions. Will be ages 8 through 19, both boys and girls. It's about the same numbers as 2024, but there are going to be almost 700 soccer games played Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so it's going to be a mob. This year we'll probably have something in the range of 8 states represented. For the first time in a while, we'll have teams from Canada, Michigan, New York, though the bulk of our teams do come from Southwest Ohio, Southeast Indiana, and Northern Kentucky. So we're going to be using fields, as you can see on the map. We're going to be with about 20 fields at the Fairfield Optimist Complex, 20 fields at the Joyce Complex. We're going to have 5 fields down at Fairfield Youth Football on Grow Lane, and we're going to have 2 fields over at Fairfield Youth Fields on River Road. We're also going to be using 2 fields at Fairfield High School, and there's a pretty good chance we're going to have some overflow games over at Ross High School on their turf field. We'll begin play on Friday night at Optimist and Joyce. There'll be 2 games at each of the fields on those 2 complexes on Friday. Probably kick off around 5 o'clock, and the games will go up until about 7:15, thereabouts. We'll be playing again starting Saturday morning at all of our locations, starting just before 8 o'clock and running until about that same 6:30, 7 o'clock time frame. Come back again on Sunday, kicking off around 8 o'clock or a few minutes till, running through about 1 o'clock at all the locations. And then after 1 o'clock, we're going on to final championship games, and that'll be primarily at Joyce Park and the Optimist Complex. We got together with the city of Fairfield last year and made some dramatic changes to our traffic plan. We're looking to work further into that plan for 2025. We're introducing more signage, more direction control, and et cetera. Fairfield placed their electronic signs on River and St. Clair in really good positions with really good messages last year. We're going to repeat that again this year. One of our primary functions, going back to a couple of years ago, the Joe Nuxhall traffic was all one way. Go in at north, come out south, Joe Nuxhall way. We've abandoned that. We're two-way traffic at both intersections now. But we do have, if you go back to the Optimist Complex, all the fields in there are numbered 1 through 16. If you go to Joyce Park, they're 17 through 32. The traffic signage out on River Road and approaching St. Clair is going to direct the Optimist traffic, fields 1 through 16, into South Joe Nuxhall, with all the fields for Joyce Park, fields 17 through 32, directed onto North Joe Nuxhall. So that worked really well for us last year. We're going to expound on that again this year. One of the other things, too, is we're going to open the back gate out of Joyce Park into the area near the waterworks in Fairfield, but we're not releasing that to the public. That's just for internal use by the local people who know the lay of the land and people in the tournament who've got to get from one location to another. All the traffic that's going to be going over to the youth football fields on Grove Lane will be directed out to River Road, all the way down River Road and back up Grove Lane, so we don't impact the internal flow on a very narrow road in there. Fairfield's going to have officers at both the Joe Nuxhalls, both north and south, and the tournament is hiring an off-duty Hamilton officer to assist with traffic flow at the stop sign that's right smack dab in the middle of Joyce Park. It's one of our bottleneck points. We've been putting an officer there for a couple of years, and it really helps out. Look at my notes real quick. Let's talk about economic impact. In 2023, we got some numbers from Travel Butler County, and they used a Destinations International Tourist Impact Calculator, and they based these numbers primarily on the hotel rooms. In 2023, they guessed our economic impact at about $2.3 million. In 2024, they raised that to $2.5 million. I think I take those numbers with a little bit of a grain of salt because I think they're low. As I mentioned before, most of our teams come from Southwest Ohio, Southeast Indiana, and Northern Kentucky. They don't stay in hotel rooms. So they have an economic impact, but it's not measured by the system that Travel Butler uses, because theirs is based on hotel room stays. Another thing I want to point out, that in 2024, we had 680 or 690 hotel room nights. As of earlier today, I was informed there were someplace around 1,060 for this tournament. We'll be using hotel rooms all the way from downtown Hamilton to Kenwood. So I expect, because we're attracting more out-of-town teams, which is actually one of our goals, that the economic impact is going to be much greater in 2025 than it was in previous years. So I do want to point out that this is an enterprise that requires a lot of people doing a lot of jobs and doing a lot of communication. Our work with the City of Fairfield Police Department and the various agencies in the City of Fairfield has been tremendous. I also want to point out that every year, for years, we have worked very closely with the Parks Conservancy and with the people who run and manage Joyce Park. And their cooperation, attention to detail, and the assistance they give us is tremendous, and I want to compliment them. So, having said all that, do you have questions? I know Brandon wants to make a few remarks.
Sure, we'll put you down as another speaker. Brandon, what's your last name again?
Ramey, R-A-M-E-Y.
Okay. All right.
Yep, so real quick, just as John was saying, I'm going to focus more on the impact that we have. We use Ross High School, so we give a donation to Ross High School. Fairfield High School, same thing. We give some money to Fairfield High School. Being from Hamilton, I would like to see Hamilton High School get involved with that. Had some breakdowns, trying to get some progress there. Baden has their new school as well. We'd like to get involved with Baden eventually. But right now, we're not able to bring those impact dollars into Hamilton as much as I would like. So that's something that we are working on for next year to direct some of that. I think it'll be over $3 million this year, the impacts, because of how many more travel things we have coming in, to put some of those dollars down Main Street in Hamilton with all the restaurants, the breweries, things like that. Being a soccer parent myself, soccer parents and breweries, they go hand in hand. So we can kind of go up and down Main Street with that. So that'll be something that we'll start working on after this mask. Like I said, to try to bring some of that impact to Hamilton more.
We both have great cities and a lot to experience, and we think the folks who go to the mass tournament would enjoy all around Butler County. So we can all do well with this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yep.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
No, I just want to say thank you for continuing to work on this, the traffic flow, and you've done your studies and with the electronic signs and the two-way and opening up that back entrance, I think is pretty important. So if anybody from Lindenwold wants to know or anything, it wouldn't be any earlier than 1 o'clock, and it probably won't be any later as far as at night. How late will that 7 o'clock match go? I mean,
Well, actually, 7 o'clock should be pretty close to the end of the game.
Okay.
Kickoff should be around 5:30 to 6:15.
Okay.
With games concluding around 7 p.m., 7:30 tops.
great. Hey, thanks for coming back to council again to tell us what's
I'll be
been
back
going on.
again.
Mr. Mayor.
But you're welcome.
Wait a minute, Vice Mayor Pullman's want to say a word.
Real quick comment. You forgot about one thing you do impact with that tournament, which is I do appreciate, is Butler County Special Olympics. So it's a good fundraiser for them. Pretty involved with it.
We've had a relationship with that organization that goes back a huge number of years.
Quite a long time, yeah.
I can tell you that
My son enjoys riding around on the golf cart selling the band, so you might remember him, Evan.
I will tell a quick story because I think it's important for what's going on. We've had a relationship with Butler County Special Olympics for 15 years, maybe longer. They're on site. They're selling wristbands for a donation, et cetera. But one other thing that they do is, for a many large number of years, I've been in charge of trophy presentations.
Yep.
And we bring the Special Olympians to the trophy presentations. And we talk not only to the kids about how proud we are of their success in their game, but we introduce the Special Olympians at that time. And the Special Olympians assist me in giving out the medals. The last couple of years, we had a bit of a breakdown in our own volunteer system, and I did not get the help from the parents of the soccer kids that I was supposed to get. What happened was the Special Olympians stepped up and were a tremendous help to me giving out trophies. I just mentioned that we've got 62 divisions. That's 62 trophy presentations, 2 teams each, and it's an arduous task. It's split between 2 sites, but if it wasn't for the Special Olympians the last 2 years, I would not have survived the occasion. But the Olympians stepped forward and were a tremendous help to me throughout the whole program. I would jump into a venue, give a short introductory speech, invite one coach up, Then I was able to leave and turn it over to the Olympians, move on to the next venue, do a short speech, move on to the next venue and do a short speech. And the Olympians made all of my trophy presentations work tremendously. They were a remarkable help. So,
Good.
yes,
Thank you.
they're an asset to the tournament.
Thank you. Good to hear.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Good luck. Thanks.
Okay, Daniel, somebody came in here, wanted to speak possibly, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Since I was a little lax with them and let two people speak and all, I mean, it was all very important. We needed to hear what they had to say. You know what topic that he wanted to talk about? Maybe he can say a couple of words and we can match him with somebody to maybe describe what issue that he's got.
I didn't get the topic, sir.
You did not?
No, sir.
Okay. Is he still here in the?
Yes. Right behind me.
Okay. Hey, come on up to the podium if you would, please, quick. I mean, we do have a meeting, and the last one went a little bit long. I was a little bit lax there. What? First off, give us your name.
Well, I'm the other Bobby Knight.
Well, I didn't quite recognize you with that forward gray beard,
Yeah,
but I know
the
you,
other
Bobby
Bobby
Knight.
Knight.
Okay. What is your topic, and maybe we can match you up with somebody tonight instead of having a full 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. Really, it's 5 minutes, but.
I came before City Council almost 2 years ago about a light in the alley and back of Neil's restaurant on the corner of 4th and Walnut. And a light was put back there. But the light is like a flashlight going down to the ground. Okay, it is not supply light to families on Central, 4th Street and Walnut. I got in contact with the city garage, okay? And they tell me there was 46 other cases before that. And something should be done, okay, to supply security for the people there.
That's 4th and Walnut.
Yeah, there's an alley.
And the light's going off and on. So
Okay, it's like a flashlight. That's how dim it is.
Okay.
The alley goes from Martin Luther King to 4th Street. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And then also, the BTW Community Center was established Sunday, May 8, 1949. And they had BTW in big letters. When you decided to remodel the center, you made a decision not to put BTW back up there. When I came before City Council, you made a sign about 3 feet tall. It's in wood. When there's weeds growing, you can't even see BTW. Now the wood is decaying. I look at other parks like 4th Street Park, you got a metal sign. Metal signs all over. Why can't you put a metal sign recognizing BTW at the community center as long as it's been there?
I'll tell you what, Bobby, I'll meet you at both those places. That sound fair to you?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. You make sure he gets one of my cards, or I can give him one right now.
I can give him one.
If you would, please. All right, Mr. Knight. Contact me, and we'll go to both those places.
Okay. It'll be at nighttime at 1.
It's going to be. You got me on that one, Bobby Knight. All right. Okay, we now go to the consent agenda, which does include all matters, all staff reports, all caucus reports, and of course, information report for February 2025, the finance report, as well as the investment report. Bobby Knight, Mr. Knight, don't use that phone number at the top. That's a landline. I'm not quite sure where those even go to.
I gave him my card, Mayor.
Give him your card?
Yes.
All right.
I know where your office is anyway.
You sure do. Okay. So we're at the consent agenda part. We mentioned the information reports, the caucus reports, and the staff reports. But before we go into some of the further discussion, we're going to have some some city folks tell us about these caucus agenda items. So I'll set the motion that the regular meeting be recessed and the committee of the whole take place.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Holman, seconded by Council Member Fear. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. It's 6:48. We now go to the committee of the whole by walking through the caucus agenda and learning some more about these caucus agenda items.
Okay, our first presentation will be made by our Chief of Staff, Ms. Mallory Greenham.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'm here to talk about some updates to our special event ordinance. I'll keep it kind of brief. The main thing that we did was we had a separate ordinance about mass gatherings. So what we did is we merged it into the special events just because it was a little bit confusing on why it stood on its own. Another thing that we did was we added emergency medical fire protection regulations, which just made a lot of sense. We also did some cleanup on some language to make sure that our special event ordinances didn't negate or conflict with any of our zoning ordinances or other city ordinances. And then a lot of little things like updating languages, timelines, and processes just based on lessons that we've learned over time. It had been a while since we updated it, so some cleanup. Any questions on this one?
Okay, that'll be coming to council for a vote, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up for agenda item number 2 will be our Director of the Building Department, Mr. Ken Rivera.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. The building department has worked together with the Human Resources Department to develop 3 new classifications. One of the goals is to help us improve our ability to retain and attract qualified personnel. Historically, it has been unusually difficult to attract qualified candidates to the current positions in the department. Often, employees in these positions have also sought opportunities with other organizations that offered better growth options or more competitive compensation for individuals with their particular qualifications. Qualifications are becoming increasingly rare as the demand keeps increasing. Creating these new positions will help establish a much more appropriate growth path for our highly sought after staff. This will also help our department maintain the higher level of efficiency and customer satisfaction that we already strive for, and I think in a lot of ways have already achieved, the results of which I believe speak for themselves when you consider the building department's role in our city's revitalization. When we're able to do that, it gives our city a real competitive advantage compared to what customers tend to experience when they go to most other jurisdictions, which falls right in line with our goal of being development driven. Everyone knows that the permit process can be very difficult and even intimidating at times, and we need to keep staff in our department who not only understand the importance of helping our customers navigate that process, but also have every ability possible to help them do just that. I often explain to customers that since we're in the business of enforcement, that means that we have to say no a lot. The difference in the city of Hamilton is that we don't just leave it there. What we're really interested in how can we all get to yes. I think the reason most places don't take that same approach is because of the great deal of time and commitment it takes on our part in order to do that and still make sure that the minimum requirements of safety are still being met. The higher standards associated with these positions will encourage staff to not only increase their own skills, but also empower them to help develop others through mentoring and cross-training. Cross-training is particularly important because of the redundancy required in these positions in order to avoid potential interruptions in services that might delay our customers' projects. And it also has the added benefit of achieving another of our goals of being people-centered. It asks a lot of an individual to acquire the years of experience, undergo the rigorous training, and pass all the extremely difficult exams required to be able to work in a certified building department. So we need to use every tool at our disposal to encourage them to take on that process. When you consider today's workforce needs, I believe positions like these will also help create some attractive goals for our young people to aspire to, and to encourage them to pursue a career in construction, possibly even become an inspector someday, maybe even work their way toward becoming a chief building official. That is in fact a desperate need right now because it's estimated that over half of building department employees in Ohio are either already at retirement age or within just a few years of it. To finish up, here's a look. Here's a look at the new organization chart so you can see how the hierarchy between the different positions would work. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. I appreciate your time.
Any questions for Ken?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Knapp.
Ken, over the years, I can't tell you how many times the city has been complimented for the work that you and your team have done. And congratulations on seeing the need, addressing it, and also being so customer friendly, because developers, builders, people that are doing projects, but whether it's businesses or residential, come back to us and tell us how user friendly our city is to work with. So it stems from your department, as you said earlier in your presentation, from not saying no, but finding solutions so that everybody can have a great outcome and those people can get along together to have a safe end result. So thank you for the presentation tonight. We've been aware of what you're working toward with the other people within the administration and things like that. So hats off to you and what you're going to be able to develop. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you folks are kind of like work boots on the ground, and you have changed the culture to getting to that yes, and not just stamping no and walking away. So thanks for being a leader and changing that culture.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My team appreciates that too.
Anyone else on council? Thank you.
Okay, next up for agenda item number 3. That can't be right. Daniel Tidyman, City Clerk. All right. Who let that guy in here?
The new guy.
Okay. Hello, Mayor, members of council. I've got a short presentation related to a D1 liquor permit for Bubba Coo's Burritos over at 1499 Main Street. This liquor permit in particular is for the sale of beer to be consumed on premises. There was no objections from fire, building, or health. The staff's recommendation is to not object to this permit. That is all I have for my presentation. Do we have any questions?
No questions, but I thought you were on double secret probation, but maybe you're not.
It's okay. I got the reference.
Thank you, Daniel. You're always so professional with your presentations.
Next up for agenda item number 4 will be our Director of Planning, Ms. Lauren Nelson.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. This should be short as well. So before you in the caucus report is requested text amendments to our Hamilton zoning ordinance, which staff occasionally is bringing before you as we find parts of the ordinance that are outdated or don't make sense any longer. So what's before you in the current caucus report is related to 3 items. The first is related to adding regulations for signage on multi-story buildings. So we actually didn't have regulations in the zoning ordinance related to this. So this building, for example, or the First Financial Building, or 150 High Street, the former Elder Beerman building. So there's now regulations being put into the code to clarify signage on multi-story buildings. The second is related to removing the rain garden requirement from OPD and BPD districts. This came about based on the frequency with which we were getting variance requests. Applicants were often having a hard time implementing this, and planning and engineering staff discussed it and thought that it made more sense to pull it out as a requirement up front because of the number of variances we were getting, and instead structure it as an incentive for developments in the future. And thirdly, and the largest part of what's before you is sort of a complete overhaul of Section 4300, which is everything non-conforming. And so there is extensive revisions, clarification on definitions within this section, and reorganizing the information so that it's a bit more straightforward. This section is hugely important because it touches on basically everything that's grandfathered in within the city, all of the business uses that are and structures that are grandfathered in. So it's really important to have clear regulations for those items. And most of this section had not been updated since the 70s and the 80s. So it was just long past due to spend significant time refreshing this part of the zoning ordinance. Does anyone have any questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Please.
Lauren, as a member of Garden Club, I should know, but what is a rain garden?
So well, so from my understanding, what I believe that it is going to be planting something in your, like, as part of your stormwater management with vegetation that's going to help with, you know, where you have like water runoff, and it's part of sort of your engineering plan and can be points towards your stormwater management as part of your development.
Got it. Thank you.
So we keep, you know, it's causing a lot of these to come before Planning Commission and for as like variance requests as part of their applications. And so after further discussion, it made more sense to, you know, maybe be, again, an incentive where we can make concessions on something else if they're going to implement this, as opposed to just requiring it for everyone up front.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Please.
this reminds me of something about signs, which is why I'm catching you cold on this, but is there an ordinance in place, for instance, until the IAFF bought the Brandenburg Fur building, that sign was up for years and years and years. I think there's a building over here that used to be a jewelry store and then a ladies' gift shop, and the signs are still up there. So is there something in place that you need to take a sign down as soon as
There
your
is.
business is okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's not immediately, and don't quote me on the timeline, as I can't spout it all off the top of my head yet. But yes, there is.
Okay.
Yes, there is a requirement now where you have a window of time, and if the space remains vacant for a certain period of time, or the business is no longer there, that a sign is required to come down or be covered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, next up for agenda item number 5 will be a presentation by our Director of Business Services, Ms. Christine Carr.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and members of Council. I am here tonight to request approval to accept an EcoSmart Choice Sustainability Grant from American Municipal Power. Just a background on where this grant funding comes from. EcoSmart Choice is a voluntary green pricing program available to AMP member communities, of which we're a member. The city currently offers this program to our commercial customers, and what it does is it allows commercial customers to offset some or all of their energy usage with green energy by purchasing and retiring what are called renewable energy credits. So at the end of each program year, any funds available still left over from that year, AMP gives that back to members in a proportional share in the form of this grant. So we're entitled to just over $11,000. So we're just asking that we are able to accept those funds. Do you have any questions?
This might be a really dumb question, but the commercial entity earns or purchases those renewable energy credits. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's how it works. They let us know what portion of their usage they would like to offset. So they could do 25% or they could do 100%. We let AMP know. AMP purchases those RECs and retires them at the end of the year. And then that business will get a certificate stating that those RECs were retired on their behalf.
Okay. But we get what's, I guess, left over? Is that?
Yeah, so the way it works is the price per REC is $4 per megawatt hour. And that's what they believe that they're going to be able to get it for. But since they're buying multiple, they're kind of getting the value of, they're able to get a better price sometimes. So if they're getting an average of $3, sure, they're able to give some of it back.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up for agenda item number 6 will be a presentation by our Director of Public Works, Mr. Dan Arthur.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and members of Council. This is just a request for Council to approve the terms and conditions of a collective bargaining agreement with Local 475 of AFSCME. We just recently finished up the negotiations with them. It actually went really, really well. They voted on it last week at 42-7 to approve the contract. The positions that are covered by this Local 475 is our in public works side of things. It's streets, fleets, and sewers. It's also members of resident services and then members of engineering that are in the sign shop. There's about 55 people in the body. And like I said, they voted and approved it last week. Some of the highlights from this one are it's a 3-year contract like usual, and it's a 3% cost of living raise the first year, then 3.5% the second year, and 4% on the third year. As long as the matrix, there's some performance matrices that they have to meet. Those are the totals that they would get each one of those 3 years. Bigger part we wanted to accomplish in this one, and it was actually a really good negotiation back and forth between the management team and the union body. And one of the things we wanted to do is put in some succession planning in this group to where they have some options. So they come in, they might be at a 20 or 21 mowing grass, and then they could go to a 22, be on the paving crew. They could go to a 23, be in the crews, the sewer crews, which is a little dirtier. But it gives people a chance to move around, try the different facets of what we do. Same thing with some of the crew leaders. We wanted that options in there for them as well. So we kind of pitched that, and they were on board with it. It came with some step increases for them on that, so the percentages were a little lower on the front end. We were able to get a 4% in there on the back end. 2 main goals we wanted this thing was obviously to keep it as close as we possibly can to the budget that we have at the city, but also make this group feel valued and appreciated. And by the end of this, that's how they felt, and we had a really good contract. One other things that we did add in there, we do our own CDL training in-house, and that's a little different than most places, but we did the research and wanted to try to do that in-house to save a lot of money. When you farm that out, it's about $5,000 to $6,000 a person to get that done, and we do it for pennies on the dollar. So one thing we negotiated into this was just $1 an hour raise for the trainers that are doing that, so that they're getting a little bit of a bump when they're training our internal guys. But it's a substantial saving. We probably save, I'd say, anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000 a year by doing that in-house. So that was another adder in there. Any questions on this one?
I think it's great to just being in-house training, and also giving some individuals the opportunity to not necessarily cross-train, but learn other jobs within the Public Works Department. I mean, they won't forget what they've learned, but they'll find a place which they feel is best suited for them. And I just think that's a great way to look at things from a team standpoint.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of how we attacked it, and we just wanted, you don't want people to get stagnant, right? They get bored, they get complacent, start, maybe having more injuries and stuff like that. But if they're a little bit more excited and got something else to look forward to and some movement in there, kind of keeps our staff around a little bit longer.
Mr. Mayor?
Please.
Dan, roughly how many members are there of that group, of the 475?
There's a total of 55 in that unit, and then on the Public Works side, we have about 36.
Okay.
Well, no, we have 44 mechanics and stuff too.
Just take a wild guess with us, but when the mayor mentioned about longevity and not being complacent and things, if you look at the newer team members who joined you within the last year, 2 years, what's the other side of the spectrum? Are there guys that have been, and team members that have been with you for 10, 15 years?
Oh, we have all kinds. We really do. We have some that have just started and filled some of the positions. They seem eager and excited to learn it, but we also have some that have been here forever, and this has been where their careers at.
That's great. Dan, thank you. Again, compliments to your guys. When I saw the team members out actually filling potholes the last couple of weeks and dragging the asphalt behind their trucks and things like that, get out and thank them for fixing our streets and doing the jobs they're doing. It's not an easy one, but with the weather being breaking and they're out working and going through the neighborhoods and doing all the streets they're doing, I thought it only takes a second to pull over and say, hey, thank you guys, And they haven't thrown tar at me yet, so it's pretty good.
No, I thoroughly appreciate that, honestly. They like that. I mean, they feel appreciated, and I've ridden along with some of the newer guys, and they take pride in that. They feel like they're doing a difference for their city, because quite frankly, most of our staff live in town. So
you bet.
They're and we hit those potholes with a crew on each side. We have a whole crew on the west side and crew on the east side, just knocking them out the best they can.
Good, Dan.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Please.
I think it's great that we are putting in the CDL program that you've put in, and also just moving guys around. I think that's going to help recruit some of our youth in our city, and I think that also helps with retention of jobs in the future, just having our homegrown kids here. I see a lot of the students that I've taught in the past that are still working with us. and they have a lot of years, and they take a lot of pride in what we do. And I appreciate the fact that those guys take a lot of pride in what they do to beautify our city and keep it up.
Thank you. Another thing we do with that actually is if someone comes in and they have a Class B, we work with them to upgrade to a Class A so they can have that other endorsement. And you have this for life, right? And that's kind of what we tell them is, this is something that follows you for the rest of your life once you have it. And they do seem to really appreciate that.
Anyone else? Great report. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And then last on the caucus agenda will be a presentation from our health director, Miss Cindy Hogg.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm here tonight to talk to you about authorizing an agreement with the Ohio Department of Health for our health department to participate in a Medicaid administrative claiming program. It's also known as MAC. So the MAC program utilizes health department staff to assist low-income residents enrolling in Medicaid and accessing Medicaid services. Through this program, administrative activities are reimbursable at 50% for staff salaries, benefits, and other time that we spend in the program. We are currently providing MAC administrative activities while we're implementing our complex medical health program. So by participating in the MAC program, we can be reimbursed for staff costs and provide a savings to the city. Does anyone have any questions about the program?
No, thank you. The whole Medicaid enrollment is difficult on people, and
I'm sorry?
Medicaid enrollment is difficult. I mean,
It is.
It's complex. The fact that we're involved.
And there's a
in that.
lot of different programs that are covered that people don't know about.
Right.
So just educating about those programs is very helpful to some of these residents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that
So the motion is to committee of the whole be closed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Council Member Nab, second by Council Member Fear. Time is 7:10. Now accept the motion that the regular meeting be reconvened.
So moved.
Second. By Council Member Fear, seconded by Council Member Ryan. Roll call vote on that, please.
Moeller?
Yes.
Pullman?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Fear?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Nab?
Yes.
Lauer?
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
That's 7:11. Now accept the motion regarding the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor Pullman.
make a motion that with the exception of the items so noted, council receive the reports of the consent agenda and concur in the recommendations.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Pullman, second by Council Member Fear. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. We now go to the public hearing. I'll accept the motion that the regular meeting be recessed and a public hearing take place.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Pullman, second by Council Member Ryan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried at 7:11. Please read a public hearing into the record.
A public hearing regarding the approval of a preliminary and final planned development and specific use request located at 182 North Brookwood Avenue pertaining to the construction of a Kroger Marketplace and Fuel Center. Ann McBride, FAICP, McBride, Dale, Clarion, applicant.
Anyone in the audience wish to be heard at this public hearing involving this particular development and specific use request involving the Kroger Marketplace and Fuel Center? I believe you have somebody who signed the book. Come on up to the podium, give us your name, and introduce yourself as well as why you're here.
Yes, my name is Macy Downey. I'm with McBride Dale Clarion. I'm here on behalf of Kroger as their zoning consultant. As you mentioned, Kroger is seeking the approval of their preliminary and final development plan for the site and specific uses related to the fuel center, pharmacy drive-through, and the kiosk convenience aspect of the fuel center. It's my understanding Ann McBride was here on the 12th and gave a pretty thorough presentation. I'm here to let you know I'm here and answer any further questions you may have.
This has gone through Planning Commission. It's been a topic that council has heard a lot about, reviewed a lot.
Anyone on council have any questions for Macy at this time? Or comments?
Excited about it.
Good.
I mean, watching it closely, exciting.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Anyone else on council wish to be heard at this public hearing involving the preliminary and final plan development, specific use request for that Kroger Marketplace Fuel Center? Anyone on council wish to be heard or make a motion at this time?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember
I
Nab.
move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, second by Councilmember Ryan. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried at 7:14. I'll ask that the motion at the regular meeting be reconvened.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Bond, second by Councilmember Fear. Roll call vote on that motion, please.
Moeller,
Yes?
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
We now go to actions pertaining to legislative items, and I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Nab.
I move that a note be made upon the minutes that each member of council was furnished a printed copy of each item of legislation prior to its being considered at this meeting. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, second by Vice Mayor Pullman. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. So we actually reconvened the regular meeting at 7:14, and we just accepted a motion on those, of the council being furnished with a printed copy of each item of legislation. So they were both at 7:14. We now go to pending legislation. Agenda item number 9, second reading of an ordinance involving body art tattoos in our loan zoning land use chart conditional uses, amending those ordinances.
An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Hamilton, Ohio pertaining to body art and tattoos, amending Section 1250 zoning land use chart, Section 1300 conditional uses, Section 3900 glossary, City of Hamilton applicant, second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, second by Councilmember Ryan. Discussion or comments on this one? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Moeller,
Yes?
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
Got to back up for a minute. I want to make sure that I say on the record that nobody else signed a public speaking book for that public hearing except for Ms. Downey as agent for Kroger. And also the audience of citizens, no one else signed the book besides those who did speak. So we go to agenda item number 10, second reading of an ordinance involving the BCRTA expansion.
An ordinance approving 3045 Moser Court Major Planned Development Departure Amendment and Specific Use Request for the BCRTA expansion, Butler County Regional Transit Authority, campus expansion, vocational training, fleet expansion, and fleet fueling, John Bayer, professional engineer per Bayer Becker, applicant, second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, second by Councilmember Lauer. Discussion or comments on this one? Hearing none, roll call vote on this one.
Moeller,
Yes?
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
Go to agenda item number 11, second reading of an ordinance involving extending our current neighborhood development plan.
An ordinance to temporarily extend the current neighborhood development plan, urban renewal plans effective date from December 31st, 2024 to April 1st, 2026, second reading.
Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor Pullman.
Make a motion that the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Pullman, second by Councilmember Lauer. Discussion on this one? Hearing none, roll call.
Moeller,
Yes?
Pullman,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
We go to agenda item number 12, which is second reading of an ordinance involving our annual action plan, which involves CDBG and home investment funds.
An ordinance approving the City of Hamilton's annual action plan update for fiscal year 2025 through 2026, delineating the statement of objectives and proposed use of community development block grant, CDBG, and home investment partnership program funds, and authorizing the submittal of said plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. Second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Lauer.
I'd like to make a motion that the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Lauer, seconded by Councilmember Bond. Comments? Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Moeller.
Yes?
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
We go to agenda item number 13 under new legislation. First reading of an ordinance involving the Kroger Marketplace and Fuel Center.
An ordinance approving a preliminary and final plan development at 182 North Brookwood Avenue and approving the specific use requests and variances to the Hamilton zoning ordinance pertaining to the construction of a Kroger Marketplace and Fuel Center. Ann McBride, FAICP, McBride Dale Clarion, applicant, first reading.
Okay, we go to agenda item number 14. First reading of an ordinance involving sidewalk cafe regulations.
An ordinance amending and supplementing the codified ordinances of the City of Hamilton, Ohio by amending and supplementing Chapter 917 Sidewalk Cafe Regulations relative to adding more detail to boundary design, materials of construction, and a one-time permit fee. First reading.
You. Now go to agenda item number 15, which is a resolution involving Dollar General Store, Fairgrove Avenue.
A resolution objecting to the application for the issuance of a new C1 liquor permit by Dolgen Midwest LLC, doing business as Dollar General Store 22403, located at 1798 Fairgrove Avenue, Hamilton, Ohio 45011, and directing the city clerk to request a hearing to determine whether such liquor permit request shall be denied.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Lauer.
I'd like to make a motion that the resolution be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Lauer, second by Councilmember Nab. Discussion on this one? Roll call vote.
Moeller.
Yes?
Pullman.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
Let me now go to audience of City Manager,
Nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor.
audience of City Council.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Lauer.
I would like to recognize Teresa Heinrich of Baden High School. This is her 50 year of service in Catholic school education, 45 of which has been spent at Baden. She has been a remarkable teacher. She's been an advocate for our kids at Baden High School. She is just a great person. She's a leader in that community, but she had a personal touch with students. She was able to look beyond just talents and see that maybe some kids weren't always she taught chemistry. Maybe that wasn't for them, but she found a way to teach them and get them through those classes, which were requirements. And I will always appreciate Miss Heinrich. You can tell I was probably one of those students. She's such a wonderful lady, such a great person, and has led that school for so many years. I'm very thankful for her service.
Councilman Lauer, is there any truth to the fact you liked it so much you took it twice?
That was biology.
Oh, my God. That's easier, man.
Social sciences, that was my thing.
Well, I imagine Brandon Sarver, Craig Buchheit, Joel Lauer, Michael Ryan all benefited from her education. Lauren did as well. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, that's about 4 or 5. That's
Could have been there, I can't remember.
well, that says a lot. Being that many people in the city, actively involved, making great decisions, that she touched those lives. That's great. Anyone else on council? I'll say a couple things. First off, there was a St. Patrick's Day, fun, safe time. Everybody enjoyed the events. Real long parade that occurred. I want to mention something about the Pittsburgh Gazette covered the NCAA basketball tournament up in Dayton last week. And they covered a team from St. Francis, Pennsylvania. On that team was somebody from Hamilton, Ohio that I did not know about. Actually, I watched the game. But it's this young man, KJ Swain Jr. I'm sorry, I mispronounced his name. But this young man is a really good kid. I mean, this is what I read about in the paper. First off, he Hamilton City Schools, then he went to Cincinnati Christian, then he came back his senior year, played basketball for Hamilton High. And he didn't play basketball after that at Xavier, but he went to Xavier. And then he's an academic star there at Xavier. But he kind of did not want to quit playing basketball yet. So his dad told him that closed mouths don't get fed. So what that kind of says is he talked up his game. And he got St. Francis, Pennsylvania to hey, come over to St. Francis, Pennsylvania and play basketball. And he played some. He played a lot on the scout team. But he just talked what a great opportunity it was for him. And this goes to show that, you know, you take a path, you realize maybe you need to jump to the other path, and you get a chance to play a little bit of college basketball. And he found himself playing at the March Madness starting in Dayton. And but he's from St. Francis, and it was a positive article with Hamilton's name mentioned in the Pittsburgh Gazette. I think you knew the young man. Is that right, Councilmember Lauer?
KJ was a great student, always smiling, always pleasant. I do want to extend gratitude towards his parents because they stuck through with him. They brought him back to Hamilton, and they were great people and very involved with most of our students at Hamilton High who went through the football program. And I appreciate the family, and I wish KJ the best.
I'll hear that name again, KJ Swain. He's going to be doing something because he's got that attitude of, hey, I'm going to make my own opportunity. He did well with it, and he found himself in March Madness, and he's also good in academics. So, hey, thank you to the teachers and a great family, and that's another great Hamilton story. St. Francis, PA. So, anyone else on council, anything they want to say at this time before we look at an executive session? Okay. City Manager, is there a request to go in executive session?
There is, Mr. Mayor, for two reasons. The first, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Okay.
And to confer with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject of pending or imminent court action.
Here, is there a motion that we go in executive session for those stated purposes given by the City Manager?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, second by Vice Mayor Pullman. Roll call vote on that. Motion, please.
Moeller,
Yes.
Pullman,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
We go in executive session at 7:26. We'll come out of executive session just to reconvene the regular meeting and then adjourn. There'll be no more public business. Thank you all for being here.